welcome back. This is Brad with Off the Rails. Good to see you again. We're going to take a few minutes today and cover a number of subjects. Let's go back to where we started with our building project. This is the progress we've made so far. Last week we had the construction foreman in front of the building. Today we've got a friend of Gotham.
Batman lives in a barn now?
Yes, he needed a place to hide.
What? No, I don't want to do that.
So he rolled up the other day, asked me if there was any rent involved. I said, not for a day.
What is that blue thing on top?
Right here?
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, that is the beginning of a water tank that feeds the business. There'll be pipes coming in and so forth, and it's wrapped. I have several on the layout, but it's wrapped in
before you put the sides on.
Right. Well, that's just the way the construction went on that one. And our favorite little piece has been permanently glued. It came off of this building about 6 or 7 times. It got lost yesterday when I set this over here. So with the help of some super glue, it isn't going to move anymore. The work that I've done since our last program involved about 5 hours. These things are not overnight projects.
Not them, obviously, there's like over-month projects.
Maybe more. Okay, since we last talked, there are some of you out there that may be watching the program that missed this magazine.
No. No.
O-Scale Modeler, O-Scale Train magazine had been published for years, and it was the only publication dedicated to the builder and operator of O-Scale trains with different manufacturers: Lionel, MTH, Weaver, Williams, and several others. It disappeared. Well, we're back out again, only on an annual basis. It used to be 4 or 5 times a year. This is an annual basis, and it'll be done every year, once only. And so for modelers who are familiar with this, I just wanted to update you.
What's the price on that?
It's $35.
You serious?
Which again, is that could be a stretch.
That's why everyone's leaving the train station there in the picture.
Yeah,
they're like $35 for the magazine. What the heck is...
Well, the train costs less than a magazine for a trip. So I guess they're going to take that out. But it's full of color work and...
It better be full of gold. Never mind.
Well, you can see that there's a lot of building techniques and things that are... It's a good magazine.
It looks nice, but...
Oh, it is. It's terrific.
I guess it's not too bad if it's once a year you're spending $35. That's
well, this is where it's being published now, out in the wilderness. And just kidding. Woodland Scenics is one of our scenic suppliers. Right. One of our scenic suppliers. So everything on layouts, of course, has to eventually be brought into the natural world. But today, we're going to take a little time. We're going to run a couple of trains for the first time.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to do that. So we're in that situation right now. Lionel decided, with the help of a lot of other people in the general public, that the trains that we showed you last week, the Santa Fe Super Chief, those are made for passenger service. Freight service is the real revenue of the railroad came into play. So in 1955, once again, we had the introduction in the magazines, of course, in time for the holidays, what we're going to show you today, which is the Lionel Train Master over here.
Oh, that's a train mat. They named it the Train Master?
Yes, it is.
Why?
Well, primarily because as a prime mover, it mastered the weight of the cars that it was pulling.
Okay.
All right. Now, back in 1955, if you zero in here on the price, this was introduced as a set. All right. It was $59.95.
That says $450.
What does it say?
$4.50.
No, not $4.50. But anyway, so that
You're talking about on this side.
yeah,
Over
yes.
Here, over here it says 59.
Oh, that's no good.
Over here it says $4.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Huh?
So thank you for that.
meant-
This is the original. All right, this is the first year model. Lionel was really peculiar in some respects. This is a 2321 with a maroon roof. They made this, as they showed in the picture, with not a maroon roof. They went back and looked at some of the diesels that Lackawanna Railroad, this is from that particular railroad. They looked and they saw that they had several paint schemes. So Lionel decided, okay, we'll make them with just gray itself, or we'll put a maroon roof on it to distinguish it. We'll make fewer of these, more of the gray ones. All of a sudden, people wanted this particular model. I guess because, number one, it was a little more prototypical, and number two, they just preferred the contrasting color because these are the original colors of Erie-Lackawanna Railroad, which is a very prominent railroad back in the early diesel era. Now, on here you're going to see a little logo here, Fairbanks Morse. This is the company that produced these, and for the real railroads, they were intended to be movers of heavy freight. Okay, so Lionel comes along and says, well, it's larger than a Santa Fe Super Chief in terms of the locomotive itself, all right? And they produced it with the idea of being able to have a lot of tractive power, meaning hug the rail, pull a lot of weight. So this particular engine became popular with those that were looking for something for freight service and also with the real railroads. This is a prime mover. They can carry quite a bit of trackage, a lot of tonnage, and this is why Lionel came out with the idea that, well, at this point in time, if I turn it over, we talked about railroad tires to get traction and so forth, okay? In this particular instance, on the motorized side, they had some rubber tires, and you'll see a couple on here.
Huh?
I told you earlier on that I didn't really believe in the tires themselves, so I'm going to show you the difference between this particular locomotive on the rail versus a competitor's locomotive, which was one of the first ones that was made by where, if you're familiar with MTH, Mike's Train House, he worked for Bachmann and QSI, and this was the first trainmaster that was produced back in the late 1980s, early 1990s. So I'm going to show you, with no tires, the difference in the pulling power of this particular locomotive. Okay, so why the pulling power?
So it's better with or without the tires?
This is without.
No,
I'm
but
not.
what is better?
What's better?
Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
Don't change the subject, just answer the f***ing question.
Because if you have an undulating layout, meaning you have a hill, you have a percentage grade of some sort, and you're pulling cars, that's where you're going to lose a good bit of the friction in the rail. So I on my layout, because it's pretty well flat.
No, but that's what I mean. So what is the purpose of the tires?
The purpose of the tires was to put friction or grab onto the rail.
So they could go up.
They could go up a grade, 2%, 1%, or 3% grade.
So that's basically
without slipping back and then spinning on the rail itself.
Well, I would want to see that. I want to see.
Well, no.
I definitely want to see it.
Oh, you would like to go backwards?
Yeah, I want to go backwards.
Well, I guess that's an attraction in that regard, but for the real road, that would be time consuming. So basically, as we progress through the years here, I brought out some various producers that made this particular engine. For instance, as I mentioned before, early Bachmann QSI, back in the late 1980, 89 to 1990. Then we had Lionel being the older. This is what they all modeled their models after, was the 1955 Lackawanna. Okay, here we have one from Williams, another manufacturer. Now, some of these are considered to be dummies.
Who are you calling dummy? Dummy?
Okay, meaning that they did not have an engine in
That's
them.
not very nice.
Well, no. And it doesn't really refer to the
So
engineer.
they're just
It doesn't-
models then?
They're
Pieces?
model.
Display pieces, I guess?
Okay, what it does is it allows you to do what's called a lash up in real railroading. They move several engines into a line. You've probably seen that, especially in the diesel era. But even in the passenger service, it's not uncommon for them to have 3, 4 A unit, B units to pull longer trains with a lot more weight. So in this particular sense, this is a dummy, meaning it has no engine. It is strictly used to lash to yet another one. And then you have a lash up or dual engines. You can do this, all right, so that you don't have any play between the motorized unit and just another unit for effect. Now, sometimes you'll get into a situation where you can have, all right, in this case, all right, now we're looking at Williams, all right, produce the Trainmaster, all Fairbanks Morse indicators on here. And then you had a situation where in this particular area, we've got a K-Line manufactured car. K-Line was another rather large competitor of Lionel as well. Okay, so what do you do with these things?
Word is sell! I want you to get out there and sell, sell, sell! I want you to sell your socks off! I want you to sell it!
Well, in this particular case, both of these are motorized. So I have to go on the layout. I have to run them on the same piece of track. Now, because they're two different manufacturers, the engines in them, the motors in them, are not in sync. So I have to determine which one is going to provide a lag to the strongest motor so that I can put them together and have a smooth operation. And the way to do that is to separate them out and then see which one has the best pulling power. And it becomes obvious, you don't have to go much more than 6 feet, and you'll see which one is stronger than the other. Strong one up front, weaker one in the back. You still get tractive power, and you get a real lash up where both of these have motors, okay?
Yeah, that's perfectly clear, Mickey, yeah. Just give me 1 minute to confer with my colleague. Did you understand a single word of what he just said?
So there you have it. I thought I'd take a minute just to introduce a couple of things. We know the Lionel boxing for marketing. Here is K-Line. What I like about K-Line trains, especially, and we're going to have an episode on the caboose and several other features of K-Line. K-Line did an awful lot of real accessorizing. Like, for instance, on the caboose, they have real lanterns on the back that look prototypically correct. K-Line liked to decorate, I don't say decorate, but certainly put a lot of accessories onto their engines to make them look even more authentic. I like this company, and I've got several products that they have, and I'm very happy with them. Unfortunately, they too went out of business. Mr. Klein decided he had had enough in the railroad business, and the company was taken over unsuccessfully so far. So what you have on K-Line, you're buying used equipment or new product that was carried by hobby shops that sold them off and got rid of them. Next, you have a company that really does beautiful work. That's Weaver. Weaver is a terrific company for locomotives as well as cars, caboose, as well as passenger cars. This is a terrific company, excellent brand, and it's priced competitive, more so in some cases than Lionel. All right. And then finally we come over to Williams, and I'm going to be running one of the Williams engines here in a few minutes. My success with Williams, without a shadow of a doubt, is the fact that their locomotives really work and they pull hard. Meaning, and as you're going to see, I've got one up here, Wisconsin Central. I just received or bought this one recently. A great engine, terrific engine, a lot of power, a lot of pulling power. So why do you need all this power business? Well, if you're going to be working and trying to have a layout that's prototypically correct, you're going to have trains that are, in my case, 20 or 30 cars long. On a layout my size, that's a pretty significantly large train, but it's reminiscent and an example of what's going on in railroading. So the power issue has been out there for a long time, because kids would say, well, I'd like to add on, to the trains, because I see trains that have lots of cars on them. if you don't have the power to do it, the engine's going to sit there and spin its wheels, and you're not going to be able to pull these trains.
Right.
So let's say showing is better than telling. This particular Wisconsin Central is like I said, a new acquisition. It's a Williams engine, and it was manufactured some years ago in perfect condition. In fact, the cellophane was still on the box. And this, you're able to do this if you go to eBay or other trains, for instance, TRANZ, that buy good equipment, either new that has never been sold, that accumulated in hobby shops, because hobby shops aren't that prevalent anymore. And you can find some terrific engines with beautiful deals, as well as cars, caboose, whatever you might like.